Julia, thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm really excited to have you on, and I've wanted to interview you for a while, and I'm sure lots of people want to hear your story.
Really? I can't imagine why.
Oh, no, I mean, it's pretty interesting. So, where do we begin? What is your age, Julia?
My age, I am 39, turning 40 in a few months.
Okay.
Turning the big 40.
So, if we went back in time to 18-year-old Julia, where is she going in life? What is she doing?
Well, I never thought that I would end up doing what I'm doing. I was at uni and, I did really well at school and I was quite academic, and I've always loved business. And so, I just assumed I was going to work in marketing or something along the lines. And I never, ever thought that I would end up owning a dance studio. It just wasn't in the plans.
So, how did the plans start to deviate to end up at this point?
Well, I was dancing at that time and I really loved it. I was obsessed. My family used to make so much fun of me because I was never available for anything. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got dance. And I would be out every single night of the week doing dance. It happened very organically. It just started taking up more and more of my time, and I just really fell into it.
When you say dance, were you always into Latin dancing? Was it other styles?
No, always Latin dance, yeah. Always
Salsa
Latin
or bachata?
dance. Salsa. Salsa was my my first style. I mean, as a kid, I did all the other dances, but I don't know, became obsessed with salsa.
You're not originally from Adelaide, are you?
No, I grew up in Sydney, but I was born overseas in Chile, Santiago, and we moved to Sydney when I was really, really young, like teeny tiny.
What was the dance scene, the salsa dance scene in Sydney when you were 18?
Amazing. I don't know if it's because I'm looking back at it. We often think about the past with nostalgia, but it was a pretty amazing time because it was new, it was exciting. I'm one of the first generations of dancers. I think in Australia there was maybe one or two, there were definitely people before me, but it just wasn't as big as it is now. And I remember as soon as I was able, wasn't legal, but don't want to say that, I went to a salsa club. And I remember just watching people dance, and I remember watching these two dancers in particular called Jamie Jesus and Patricia. They were my first teachers, watching them dance, and it was just amazing, and I was mesmerized. So the scene was really cool, great people. It was fun. I have really great memories of that time. Going out in Sydney.
When did you make the transition from Sydney over to Adelaide?
To Adelaide, early 20s. It's really embarrassing, but I moved to Adelaide for love.
That's okay. That sounds like a very reasonable reason to move to Adelaide.
No longer in a relationship with that person. But I moved to Adelaide. I don't know, something just called me to Adelaide. It's funny because I didn't love Adelaide in the beginning. I thought it was so boring. But
it would have, back in the day would have been very, now it's pretty fun, but back in the day probably would have been very quiet.
I love Adelaide. I love it. But it was very quiet, and compared to Sydney, it was very different. But I don't know, I just felt called to come here, and I did, and again kind of fell into the dance studio thing, and I've been here ever since, and I absolutely love Adelaide. You couldn't pay me to go back to Sydney.
I think it's a good little golden gem.
It is. I love it. I absolutely love it. I always tell everybody, because people interstate sometimes bag Adelaide, but when they come here they realise it's really, really cool.
Yeah, they realise. I think it's okay when they bag it. I'm like, that's alright. Yeah, we're terrible.
Stay there. Yeah. We don't want you to come and bring your Sydney and Melbourne money.
100%. You keep making the prices of the houses go up too much.
So true. That's happening right now.
Yes. Okay, so I'm a really curious person, and I know the steps. So you get into salsa, you fall in love with it, you like the scene, I'm assuming you then become a teacher.
Yes, I was asked to start teaching, and yeah, just developed over the next couple of years. I had lots of people teach me, help me out, help me grow. But yeah, it was really at a time when there weren't that many people around, so.
Okay, and then from there to starting or pursuing it as a business, what happened there?
So moved to Adelaide. I met my current business partner, which is Hugo, and he established Latino Grooves, which is the company that I now own, and he had just started. It was about a year old, maybe a little bit less so, and yeah, it was just like a natural progression. I started working with the school. It was really small at the very beginning. It did not look anything like what it does now.
Where were you guys when you first began?
He had a studio in the city in Angus Street. Then we opened up some classes we ran classes out of the Dulwich Community Centre. And we started with 1 or 2 nights, just a few hours. And as demand grew, we would open up another night and then another night. And then it just became obvious that we needed our own premises. And we leased a property on Frederick Street in the city. Then we moved to Pulteney Street. And then we've moved to the premises where we are now on King William Street.
So how long have you guys been right now in King William?
Going on to 6 or 7 years, and all up been doing this for about 16, 17 years.
Yeah, that's really cool. So lots of different, I'm assuming, iterations of the business, and probably different generations of dancers and...
Yes.
Okay, so when did it go from just something... So I have lots of friends who probably have similar sized businesses, at the start, who maybe do something in a community place for a couple of classes. When did it go from that to deciding, okay, no, this can actually be a thing?
Well, I think it started to really grow when I made the decision to do it full time. So back then I was studying here in Adelaide. I did a marketing degree here at UniSA, and I was also working in a marketing role. At the time I was working for the Australian Red Cross and really loved my job. I felt really passionate about working in the not-for-profit sector, but I was burning the candle at both ends. I remember at the time I was working at Red Cross, and we had our dance studio on Pulteney Street, and I would work all day, regular 8:30 to 5 or 5:30, and then run over to the dance studio for a 6 o'clock start, teach the classes, and then I would go home and do a little bit of admin for the studio at night. And I was, like I said, just really burning the candle at both ends. Then it just got to a point where I had to decide if I would, what I was going to do, because I couldn't continue how I was doing. So I decided to quit my job, or actually the universe kind of made it happen, because
sometimes that way.
Yeah, my role was made redundant. There were some huge shifts at Australian Red Cross. I actually worked for Red Cross College, which was under the Australian Red Cross, and it went through some huge organisational changes, and the department was essentially made redundant. And it was literally at the same time where I was thinking, something's got to give. I don't know what to do. So I decided, okay, I'm going to give this dance studio thing a go full time, and didn't look for another job. And I would say that was the turning point, where obviously I had to make a go of it and make it my full-time job and my sole income. So that I would say that's when it started to grow. That's
really cool. I love that. And I'm asking this selfishly because I have someone that's really close in my life right now who's probably at that moment in their life where and I know that a lot of people listening will also be in that moment where they maybe have something that they're pursuing or that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
But they're in that moment of undecisiveness of should I risk it for the biscuit? Because it is a risk, because you don't know if it's going to work.
Huge risk.
So
huge.
What was it like, let's say that first year you decided, okay, I'm going all in?
Well, I'm glad I did it when I was, younger, young and dumb, because I didn't realize, it's been amazing, but you just go into things without sometimes thinking about it. But I just, took the leap of faith. It was amazing. I think I don't regret it. I enjoy working for myself. But it was definitely challenging. And there are moments where you question yourself because you don't have that guaranteed pay coming to you fortnightly. It really does rest on you. If you sort of drop the ball or lose momentum, then you might not do well that particular month. So there were definitely some hairy times, but overall it's been really positive.
Now I've always wanted to know, how do other business owners manage that, that self-motivation when you're just not motivated? Because sometimes you do end up in those situations where maybe you do have months that are slow or seasons where things are harder, but you don't have, even though you might be going through those moments, you're still not actually that motivated to do something about it.
I really love my job, so I don't feel that I've had moments where I'm lacking motivation, but you definitely have ebbs and flows. You definitely have points where you're super duper let's go for it. I'm in one of those phases right now, and then you have other phases where you just have to go on cruise control. But I think you've got to have enough systems in place that when you do have those moments where you're not feeling 100%, it can still run at a certain level.
You've been in business 16, 17 years now with the studio.
Yeah.
What have been some of the hardest things or lessons that you've learned in that period of time?
Wow, so many. I think I do things radically different now. I'm just a lot more organized. It's all about, just having your systems in place. Had a lot of lessons along the way. I would say one of the hardest things has been dealing with people. There's been some crazy scenarios that have happened over the years. I've learned, just about boundaries, because what I do, it's very social, and you spend a lot of time with the people that come to the dance studio, and so there's this blurred line between work professionalism and you end up genuinely liking so many people. But I've really learnt to have that professional barrier. I would say that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned is how to be, how to conduct. I think I've had to grow a lot myself. I firmly believe that a business can't outgrow its owner. So if you're not working on yourself, there's no way that your business is going to grow with you. So I would say that's probably been one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, look, I can completely relate to what you're referring to there with having to do with a community-based business. I used to own one as well, and you do go through some crazy scenarios and you realize maybe the spectrum of people's personalities that maybe you just wouldn't encounter in everyday day-to-day life, because you just wouldn't be friends with those people, or you just wouldn't let them come into your life. But when you have a business where you probably see hundreds and hundreds of people
a week,
and you realize you can't control these people either, probably lots of the things are unrelated to you, they just happen in a vicinity or in a roof that you happen to be the community leader of. It's hard to deal with.
I think it's a numbers game as well, because I think over the years I've been exposed to well over, let's just say, 50,000 people, right? 1% of those people you're going to have some issues with. So I think, and the bigger you get, the more people that you meet. It's just a numbers game. But I think I've just learnt a lot, and I have put up some boundaries for myself. A lot of people criticize me and say, I wish you'd go out more and this and that. But I have learnt that for my mental health, for my just for my longevity and for my professionalism, it's best that I am not out and about and hanging out with all my students on a weekly basis. And I just feel I've got a little bit more time to myself, and I don't get as drained. Because I've also learned over the years that I'm actually an introvert. and everyone says, oh, like, you're so confident, you're so, like, you are with people and in front of people every single day. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but I'm definitely an introvert, and I've learned that there does come a point where I have to pull back and just spend some solo time to be able to recharge the batteries and then keep doing what I'm doing.
So we've had this conversation in the past, and I think it's a fascinating one, because I don't think it's something that there is so much awareness of.
Yeah.
For years I would struggle with that myself. Like, I've always had a job where I have to be social and extroverted.
Yeah.
And I also am quite introverted and would always be really tired at night. And like, I just, not physically tired.
Strange.
It's just like, I just had like zero conversations to give. Like, people would ask me questions and I'm like, I don't know. Like, how was your day? I don't know. Like, stuff happened. I'm alive.
Yeah. No, well, see, I've only just learnt that in my mid-30s. Oh, actually, I am an introvert. I always assumed I was an extrovert. So that's probably one big lesson that I've learned. Like, just getting to know myself better and knowing what I need in order to, like, feel good, feel rested, and be in a really positive mindset to be able to deal with all these people. Because at the end of the day, when something happens, or, you know, people, the buck stops with me, everyone looks to me, and if I'm like stressed or in a negative headspace, I just can't, you can't react in the way that you need to react. So I've just learnt to look after myself emotionally, and I've been so much better for it. Yeah,
for sure. How has the dance scene in Adelaide grown over the years?
It's grown a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. It's grown heaps, which is good, of course, and it will continue to grow over the years. Lots more events, lots more dance styles. There's quite a few schools, which is great. I think the more schools out there, the better. It's obviously not as big or as developed as the scene in Sydney or Melbourne, but it's getting there. We're producing some really good dancers, some really good events. You know, you can go out several times per week to do some social dancing if you want. But yeah, it's grown a lot.
I think almost pre-COVID, you could almost do something every day of the night.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think it's almost back at that.
I would say so. I personally probably am not back at full capacity in terms of events since COVID, but overall in Adelaide, yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did COVID affect dance?
Well, obviously we had to stop completely for about, just under a year. We did do some online classes and everybody was really, really supportive. Like, our student base were really supportive. But it just became so obvious that you could definitely do an online class. But one of the benefits of dance is that community aspect, the social aspect. So as soon as we were able to, everyone came back to classes. So obviously we had that year off and it wasn't fantastic financially, but for me personally it was amazing. I had such a good break, and I think I went through a lot of personal growth during COVID. And then when we were allowed back on, I just felt like, we came back, guns blazing. The events, not so much. They took a little bit longer to get back on, but I think I changed a lot after COVID. And, personally, like, I gave up drinking alcohol. I started going to bed a lot earlier, and I just felt like so amazing. And it's not something that I personally want to go back to. Yeah, no, I understand. So I'm really curious about business and like how different businesses work. So for you guys, you have the studio, then you have like the event section, then I guess you have like performances. Would they be the three different, categories of the business? Yeah, I would say so. So we've got the dance studio, the dance classes, which is what I primarily look after. Then we have the events, which my business partner Hugo, that's what he's passionate about, right? He loves the nightclubs. He's also a musician, so he's got his band. And then we have the other side of it, which is like entertainment. So we'll send out some dancers to hens nights and corporate events and that sort of a thing. So it's got 3 aspects to it.
Okay, so how did that develop over the years? So obviously it would have just started as offering classes.
Offering classes.
What was the next thing that got added on to the business?
So it started offering classes, very small. The classes grew very organically. Then the events started, and they were also small and an organic growth process. And we were lucky that we started, well, you know, Hugo, my business partner, he was probably one of the first people in Adelaide doing events. So we were very lucky that we had established some great connections with fantastic venues, and we've been working at venues forever. For example, at the Gov, we've been there since day one, the Aqaba, probably been there for about 14, 15 years, Casa Blabla, that sort of a thing. And then that grew, and then I would say simultaneously people would obviously see an event, or they would like be walking past Casa Blabla on a Wednesday night and hear the music, or they would come to a dance class, and you know, it just started very organically, like, hey, I'm getting married, do you guys send out dancers to weddings, etc. And that's kind of grown as well.
Nice, that's really cool. You've got like a really big event coming up this weekend.
Yes, that one's a little bit different. So I am really branching out into more community events. As I said, I'm not super passionate about alcohol personally myself. Don't love staying out. I'm pretty boring these days, but love dance, love music, and I feel really passionate about promoting Latin American culture, right? And so I personally am branching out into working with councils and doing events like during the day, more family friendly, and like connecting with the community in a broader sense. So this weekend is a great example. It's called the Civic Park Fiesta, and it's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, at Civic Park in Modbury, or Tea Tree Gully, and we've got this really exciting setup. We've got like a stage truck, we're gonna have some live music, we've got food trucks, we have this amazing selection of like Latin American food. We're gonna have some market stalls, some amusement rides. It's just gonna be basically like a really beautiful day for the whole family. Free event as well.
It's really cool. If somebody wanted to get into events, what would be some advice that you'd give to them?
Oh, I would say to jump on board with people who are currently doing events, because for me, the whole community event thing, working with councils, I'm new to it. So I just started partnering with people who are already doing it and already have the contacts, and I'm bringing what I can offer. So my experience is programming the dancers, the musicians, promotion. Obviously, I have a marketing background. So I've just basically started working with other people, and I'm learning from them. And I've been learning with every event that I've been doing. And I really think it takes a team. It's all about team effort. I wouldn't want to do these sorts of events on my own. I always love working with 1 or 2 other people.
Now, from the outside looking in, like, you seem to be really good at promotion.
Yes.
What are some things that maybe other people who maybe attempt similar things go wrong in the process of promoting? Because from the outside looking in, like, most things that you guys seem to do, like, are always like run really professionally, like your branding's like pretty on point and up to a certain standard, like, and you know, like it'd be very rare to go something organized by you guys and it not like have people there. Whereas, for example, like I've had lots of friends in business and lots of different industries, and like lots of times like people promote things and no one's at the thing, or they don't have that momentum. So what do you think are some of the keys to being good at promotion? I
think you need, at promotion, first of all, I really believe that you have to like deliver what you promise. You have to make sure, if we're talking about events, you need to make sure your event starts on time. That's one of the things that a lot of people go wrong. They announce a start time or certain set times, and then people go there and like 2-3 hours late. And I find that really disrespectful to people's times. So number one is deliver on everything that you promise. You've got to, I always say, like, you've got to work on the art, the craft, and then the other stuff will follow. You've got to make sure your product is good. At the same time, with promotion, you got to keep up with the trends. Stuff on social media is constantly changing, so you have to be quite open-minded, and make sure that you are somehow learning about all this new stuff like TikTok and all this sort of a thing. I feel like a lot of people fall down on their branding. It lacks a lot of consistency. You just need to be super consistent and keep delivering your message week in, week out. I feel like, especially here in Adelaide, it takes a long time for people to adopt things, for people to like trust in your brand, and then it takes absolutely no time at all for them to lose faith in your brand. So yeah, with dance classes, events, starting on time, making sure you're preparing a really good class, you got to put all your love and energies into it, and then just turn up on social media week in, week out. It will eventually happen, I think.
I think it's some really good, solid, like, business and life advice in there.
Yeah, very practical. It's nothing amazing, but yeah, I would just say, like, investing in some branding. It's, back in the day, it was really expensive to get like a decent logo and that sort of a thing, but now it's so cheap. You can go to Fiverr, that's like 5 and then double R. There's so many people that can, Canva is such an amazing resource. Just spending a little bit of time and thought into getting like a decent logo, getting some nice images, and then being very, very consistent, because it takes time for people to recognize your brand. And yeah, you just got to be super consistent with all your colors and the way that you show up on social media. And yeah, you've just got to adopt the new stuff. Like video right now is the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. No, 100%. I post so many videos.
Yeah, I love your videos. I really enjoy your videos.
Well,
yeah, you're doing well.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to keep talking about you.
Okay.
We are back. So one of the things that I got given some questions to ask you.
Go for it.
So some of those questions are things that most people will probably be asking.
Yeah.
Can anyone learn to dance?
Absolutely, 100%.
What's something that you would tell to somebody who like is convinced that they have 2 left feet?
Just turn up, give it a go, show up. I've just learned that like 90% of life is just turning up, have a crack. Most people say, I've got 2 left feet, or they've got to drag their partner along, and then that person ends up loving it.
Why do you think most people struggle to make that first step?
I don't know. I think a lot of people are like stuck inside their own heads, and the reality is that no one's really thinking about you that much. Just get out of your head and embrace feeling uncomfortable and embrace something new and give it a go. I think you would be pleasantly surprised.
Like I always tell, especially like guys, like it feels like so guys will often do lots of things to try and feel like confident about themselves, right? And like in my background, I've done lots of like probably all the generic macho type things. Now, learning to dance to me felt like the scariest thing, right? Because you're being vulnerable in front of a girl. Like at the start, you don't know how to dance.
Yeah.
And
but no one does.
No. But you go through that process enough, and then you realize, oh wow, like there's this skill that I literally didn't have that I now have. And I think as a man or a woman, having like the confidence within yourself to just go up to like a stranger and ask them to dance, doesn't matter if they say yes or no, but like you having that confidence enough to be like, hey, like, would you like to dance? To me, it felt like, oh wow, this is a superpower. And to me, it was like, I feel like other people should know about this.
It is a superpower, and just having that little secret skill in your like toolkit is amazing. I think that there is nothing like more confident or sexier really than someone that is comfortable enough to dance. And people that say something negative or put someone down, literally they wish they could dance. Like everybody wants to know how to dance. Come on.
And I've realised that you just need a few moves to dance like 90% better than most people.
Yeah, 100%. I think people just like overthink things. It's like this all or nothing mentality. Like just turn up, have a go. You know, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to set the world on fire in your first dance lesson. And you just like need to embrace feeling uncomfortable and being a beginner and just turn up. Honestly, it happens every single time. I love being at the door and I love talking to new students. And then I will, you know, point them in the right direction, what class they should start with, what pass they should get. We have this 7-day pass at the studio where you just pay $20 and you can do unlimited classes for 1 week, right? So you can, and I encourage people to do that. And then after the week, I'll ask them, everyone like, oh my God, I love this. I'm addicted. I wish I had done this sooner. That is the main thing I hear from people. I wish I had done this sooner. And I feel like it's really sad. Like I feel really lucky that I did start very young. And for those people that secretly wish and like want to be able to dance, but their lack of confidence is holding them back, I think that's really sad. Like we're all in the same boat, you know. People just get out of your head, and you'll notice that everybody is very friendly, and everyone's like feeling the same way as you.
I find that that's almost one of the special things about dancing. It's a thing where you actually, to get better at it, you have to let go almost of like this notion. You have to take yourself a little bit less seriously.
100%, yes. You have to embrace the fact that you are going to look a little bit uncoordinated for a little while.
But then, like, if you go through that enough, you come on the other side.
Absolutely. I've seen it time and time again. And it's really funny because I've seen so many things. Experience has taught me never to count anybody out. This is why I can say, like, anyone can learn how to dance. I can say it, like, 100% belief, because I have seen people who are not natural movers, have had zero dance experience, super clunky, super awkward, lacking confidence, and then they just stick at it. And then you see them in a few months' time and they're a brand new person. And I've seen that so many times. It's actually one of the best things about my job, and literally seeing people transform just through dance is probably the thing that keeps driving me to do what I do.
Now, this is a question I know lots of people will be interested in. How does somebody go from just being like, you go to classes and you're just an average dancer, to then actually becoming a good dancer?
I love this question. Okay, so I think it's different for everybody, firstly. What I'm about to say is very general and might not apply to you, but when I look at people who are very successful in dance, whether it be, you know, as a student or like a professional or as a teacher, whatever, I've just noticed like a couple of traits, right, that are common. First of all, I think in terms of attitude, you've got to relax and enjoy the process and not take yourself seriously. Like if you take yourself too seriously and have like that little bit of ego about you, I really feel that you just don't progress as much.
Why is that?
Well, I think that that's a very good question. Like, okay, so people's ability to confront themselves and for them to confront hardship and their ability to shake it off and have a laugh at themselves and keep going, that is what makes a good dancer. There are people that get put off because if they can't get a move, or they have an experience, or they feel a certain way and they get so angry, and you can see like their internal dialogue, and then they might not come back. Or that's the key. You just have to be able to have a laugh at yourself, pick yourself up again and try again, like 10 times, 15 times, maybe 100 times. That's dance. Like that's literally what you've got to do. And when I think to the people that are dancing with a big smile on their face and having a laugh, they do go far. They go really, really far. So attitude, I think humility is very important. There is no like final destination in dance. A lot of people are obsessed with levels, and they think that getting to a certain level in the class means that they've achieved like something. Not really. No matter how good you are, there's always a million more things to learn. So having that humility, I think, is important. Fitness is really important. I find like having body awareness, really knowing your body is important for people that want to take dance to the next level. So for example, if you've been dancing for a couple of years and then you decide that you want to compete, you have to be doing some other thing outside of dance. Like you need to be doing some work at the gym, I don't know, maybe some Pilates, that sort of a thing. It's really helpful because dance is exercise. Like you need to be able to understand like basic body mechanics, you know, how your body moves. You need to know your body, you need to know how to look after your body, how to avoid injury. You know, no one's got a perfect physique. We all have weak points. You need to know what they are so then you can work around them, build them up, that sort of a thing. So I think that's really important, I would say. Works like, what's the word? Like alongside, hand in hand with having an amazing attitude. And I think just having like an open mindset and knowing how to learn, I feel that a lot of people actually don't know how to learn. Like they don't know how to be students.
Like what does that mean to you?
A lot of people, I just over the years have noticed that people listen to maybe respond, but they don't listen to understand. Like people don't know how to learn. They don't know how to behave in a classroom situation. They do things that like are the opposite to what you should be doing to be a really good student. And it's no coincidence that they don't really get that far. For example, simple things like not talking while the teacher is talking, like not warming up, not wanting to do basic exercises, fundamentals, just wanting to do all the fancy stuff. It's just, you need to know how to learn.
So something that I probably have heard you tell people in the past that I know that I struggled to understand when I first heard it, like about dance, and I'm sure lots of other people will, is like something that I know that I've heard lots of teachers recommend is to like keep doing the basics, like keep going back to level 1.
Yeah.
So when somebody thinks to themselves like, I'm a good dancer, like I can do some fancy moves, I've done level 5, I've done some performances, like what is it that they need to take away when they go back to level 1? Or like a fundamentals class?
Yeah.
Like what's that thing that's obvious to you that maybe is not obvious to them?
Well, I've been dancing like maybe like over 20 years and my basic still isn't right. So you can always improve.
And when you say your basic isn't right, to the untrained eye, what does that mean? That you know that I can't see when I look at, let's say, see you doing a basic.
I mean, look, my basic is right, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
It never will be.
And is that just more like sharper with your timing? Is that like better musicality? What does that mean?
Dance is a thing that keeps evolving, right? It keeps getting better. So dance, what it is today, is so much better. The level is so much better than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So you just need to keep improving. Like people find ways to explain things better, to make things look better. When I think back to when I was learning, for example, I remember that a crossbody turn was the hardest move ever. And no one could actually break down the footwork of a crossbody turn to a level where I understood it. And I had to seek out some other teachers to help me. Now we learn crossbody turn in 30 seconds because we have learned like a methodology that helps people to understand it in 30 seconds. So the basic step, I think it has more to do with like your body awareness, weight transfer, making it look really clean, knowing how to use your feet, knowing how to step properly, knowing how to use the floor, keeping your basic step really balanced and controlled. body movement of the salsa basic is the hardest thing. 95% of people don't do it properly, is knowing how to move your body when you're doing that basic step. And if I was to, okay, so there's this saying, like, how do you know how good a dancer is? Look at their basic step. The basic step tells you everything. Posture, the basic action, which in salsa, in Latin dance, we call it like Cuban body action, or like your basic Latin action, and that action is it's the same. It's a fundamental, whether you're dancing salsa, bachata, cha-cha-cha, and merengue. How good that basic Latin action is, you know, moving your knees, your footwork, how you are connected to the floor, the timing. There's so much to it. It takes a while.
I love it. And I think that's just a good reminder, because I think that applies no matter what the endeavor is that you're pursuing. Like, you learn, so you can go back and, it's like a book. If you read a book when you're 20, you come back when you're 30, it's the same book.
You'll find something else.
Yeah, because now you have awareness that you didn't have before. And I guess, like you mentioned, like even just seeking, like, you know, just a different teacher explaining the same thing, like, you're like, oh, like, I'm hearing that now.
Yeah.
Like, could be the same thing, just be said a little bit differently.
Or you're just ready now to absorb. But to answer your question specifically, what is it that I see that other people don't see? And I would say, in a nutshell, it's footwork, weight transfer, and body movement. You know, and the body movement, it does take a while. And when you first learn salsa, you learn it, and we teach it at a very basic level to make it friendly, to make it fun. We can't bore people in level 1, right? Can you imagine if you come for your first lesson and we bore you with this really detailed? It won't be fun. They won't come back, and they actually won't understand it because they have no reference, right? So we teach the basic very simple and very flat, and then you have to come back and add movement. And for me, that movement is that flavor, that sabor that everyone talks about.
I love it. Now, if we go one step further, how does somebody go from being like a good dancer to then becoming like a competitive dancer? What are some of the steps or distinguishes? Would you give any distinguishments?
I would say mindset. You want to become someone that everybody wants to work with, right? You need to make yourself indispensable. You want to be someone that your coaches, the choreographers, the teachers want to work with. You know, because when we are planning a competition team, we might have 6 or 8 spots in that team. Well, the school might have 80 dancers that think, oh, I would love to do a competition team. So as coaches and choreographers, right, we think, well, when you think, okay, the first people will automatically just come to mind, and they're the people that you see week in, week out, that you see embracing the fundamentals, that you see working on their fitness, and that generally just have a really great attitude, and you think, yeah, I want to rehearse with that person, like 6 to 8 hours extra a week. So I just just turn up, work really hard, don't tell people how good you are, like show us how good you are, and just make yourself indispensable. Be someone that I want to spend my Sunday morning with, you know, and that we can all just work really hard toward this goal, but also have a great time and have a laugh. I
think that's very good life advice. Be somebody that people want to spend time with.
Yeah.
I used to mentor, I still do, but when I used to take coaches through the gym, I would mentor them and explain to them like how to, you know, be a coach within the gym. And like something that I would always talk to them about is like be a fun person that people want to be around. Like then find whatever that version is
for you, because everyone's different. Some people are more quiet.
But if you just are not, and like, you know, I would always really emphasize this, because if you can't find that reason why people would want to be around you, it probably means you're finding the reasons why people don't want to be around you.
Or not even just finding reasons that they don't want to be around you. You just won't pop into their mind when opportunities come up, you know? Look, not everyone is outgoing and super fun. I'm not particularly fun, like my personality, but I'm contributing something positive. So you're either, just have a great attitude, make people laugh, or just you're reliable and you're solid and you turn up, zero drama, you know. One of the things that for me personally are a real big put off is when people tell me how good they are, automatically, like, okay. Because everyone's amazing. There's so many amazing people out there that are, you know, working really hard. And so for me, it's just like, just turn up and do, and, you know, show people week in, week out. You will get noticed. You will get asked to do things. Put your hand up for any opportunity. Like throughout the year, there will be lots of different things. Learn, go to other schools, like learn other styles. Whenever there's an interstate or an international instructor, like make sure you're there. Soak in all that knowledge and experience and just do as much as you can and have fun. And you'll just see that, the doors will open to the world of dance.
Okay, so I think I've spoken to you about this before, but I do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And in jiu-jitsu you have time where you do sparring, and we call that like open mat time. So there's, you know, times when you can go to gyms where you just go to do sparring, and then you have classes, right?
Yeah.
And I've always thought that like dance has this really odd similarity to that. Like you have social dancing, and then you have classes.
Yeah.
Now there's probably like a balance that I'm aware of within jiu-jitsu where people do too many classes and they don't spar enough, or they do too much sparring and they don't do enough classes.
Yeah, same.
What would be the ideal balance that you would give someone to improve continuously?
But it depends on their goals. So if you want to be a really good social dancer, and there are people that just want to be able to go out and have a really nice dance, then I would say for every, like, you need to be going out once a week. Or maybe not even going out, because, you know, sometimes we offer opportunities at the studio, like after class we'll have like an hour of practice or whatever, but you need to be practicing the ability to lead a stranger, like ad hoc and just going with the flow, I think at least once a week. You can do that in different ways. If you want to become a competitor, a competitive dancer, social dancing isn't necessarily required. It's up to you how often you want to do that.
I think it's a really good piece of information.
Yeah. I think you've got to be really clear on what you want to achieve. Like, what do you want to do? If you want to be an all-rounder, then I suggest that you focus on one thing at a time. You know, there was a stage in my life where I was going out social dancing a lot. And it was really beneficial. But at the same time, the social dance floor is not the place to like learn technique. A lot of people go, oh yeah, but I go out social dancing. Like, yeah. So it depends. Everyone's different. I think it comes down to what you want to achieve and where you're at in life. You know, what capacity do you have to be out every night of the week? Some people aren't. They don't have the capacity. Maybe they've got kids. Maybe they're shift workers. You can still achieve your goals.
I love it. Last question that I have for you, I think it's a really important one.
Yeah.
What are some good social dancing or dancing etiquette that you don't see people follow that you think they should?
Oh, so many. Oh my gosh. You know what? A lot of these questions, I've really been thinking a lot. They've been coming up a lot, and I thought I might set up like a little blog space on my website and just write all of these articles, because the social dance etiquette is a big one.
Like, I'll say it for you, like a lot of guys, just don't be creepy.
Yeah.
And people will want to dance with you more.
Yeah, just be really friendly. I personally haven't met a lot of creeps. It's been a while since I've had creepy behaviour or I've seen creepy behaviour. I think what the worst offences are like sweating profusely and not bringing a change of shirt. And, you know, we've got to touch your shirt that is drenched, like it's wet. Or every time you do a spin, there's like drops of water that come and hit you in the eye or go into your mouth. That's happened to me many times. It's so disgusting.
This is good advice. Bring a spare shirt.
Some people sweat a lot. Some guys sweat a lot. Like, maybe bring 2 shirts and you just need to change. Like basic personal hygiene, you know, maybe if you've had a really big dinner with lots of garlic and lots of spices, like perhaps brush your teeth before coming to class. maybe having some chewing gum, because that's really difficult to deal with as well. And quite often, like especially if you're a little bit shorter than your partner, like the breath is
coming straight
at you. I would say, it's more personal hygiene. As a follow, that's one of the most off-putting things. Like, perfectly lovely person, maybe they're a fantastic dancer, maybe you would want to dance with them a lot more, but those like basic hygiene things are a huge put off.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
That went by really quick.
It did.
It is called the 45-minute podcast, so we will leave it there, but I would love to have you on again in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I love meeting Mr. Winston. I think he's been the highlight of the podcast.
He generally is.
He's so cute.
He's the highlight of my day every day.
Aww.
If people want to find you and know more about the studio, how can they do so?
So Instagram, Latino Grooves Dance Studio, Facebook, same handle, and website as well, latinogrooves.com.au, but who uses website these days, I don't know. But our dance studio is on the corner of King William Street in Halifax in the studio. We open like Monday to Thursday and Saturdays, so if you're ever in the area, just pop in, check us out, give it a go. Dance really is life-changing. So if you've ever thought about learning to dance, or if you're in a little bit of a rut in life and you just need something extra different, like, give dance a go. It is truly life-changing, and thousands and thousands of people are doing it, and there must be a reason for it. It's just fun. Corny, but it is.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.